Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about the importance of completely cutting off doom scrolling in your life. Because whether you believe it or not, by the end of this video, you yourself would want to cut it off. Because when you realize that doom scrolling is something which has such a large impact on whether you can successfully manifest or not, that's exactly when you will never want to do it the same way that you've been doing it or have ever done it. Now, understand what doom scrolling really is. And when I'm talking about doom scrolling, I'm most dominantly talking about short form content, whether it's Reels, whether it's TikTok, whether it's any kind of short form content that you are accustomed to consuming, whether it's YouTube shorts, okay? Now, what do we want to be understanding first is that in order to successfully manifest a reality of our choice, we have to understand that we only manifest things that we can emotionally feel and sustain for a certain period of time. And because we can only manifest the things that we can sustain for a certain period of time, we can only sustain those emotions when we have an identity that we are always aware that we are projecting. For example, if I want to be manifesting a lot of money in my life, I cannot manifest a lot of money if at home I am acting all classy, luxurious, and rich and intelligent and high value. But then the moment I hang out with my set of friends, I start acting like a complete degenerate. It does not work in that way because I've not sustained the emotion of a high value man, which means there's no way that manifestation is going to come through, because what I'm actually conveying to my subconscious mind is that I'm doubtful whether I am a high value man. And the only reason why my subconscious will think that I'm doubtful is because I'm acting high value, and I'm acting and I'm not. So the truth is, a lot of people believe that they're moving slowly towards the goal, but in reality, they are wiring doubt, because starting and stopping is not going to help you. And how is this related to short form content? I will tell you. So, first off, you want to be understanding that the short form content that we are watching is 99.9% of the times the material which has gone viral. Now, when I say it has gone viral, you want to be understanding what kind of videos go viral in the first place. You might have seen these, of course, a lot. The kind of videos that provoke an emotion within us are the ones that 99.9% of times go viral. And why do we like our algorithm so much? We like our algorithm so much because we will only choose to watch or skip the videos depending on whether we can relate to it or not. For the same reason, the kind of friends that you picked in high school or the kind of friends you picked at work or wherever it is are always the people you can relate to most. So, if let's say an extremely obese person goes to his workplace, and if he feels like he relates with the habits of another obese person in the workplace, the likeliness of them becoming friends is very, very high. And because that is very, very high, it's going to be very difficult for him to become not obese if that is a goal that he really wants. Another simple example, if the same obese person wants to go to the gym and he started going to the gym, but because at the gym he saw one guy who looks exactly as obese as him, he will feel most comfortable to talk to him. So he talks to him, and both of them are going to the gym, but outside of the gym, they're doing all of the habits, which is what is making them obese. And that's why they can never grow out of that situation, because that is the identity that they find most comfortable flirting with. And that's why that's exactly what they're going to be attracting in their life, even though they have the illusion that they are taking physical actions to change their life, which is what I don't want you to fall into the trap of. In this situation, what would be best for an obese man to do is to enter the gym and talk to the person who looks the exact opposite of him. Because only when he can conjure up the confidence to do that with somebody who is the complete opposite of him is he giving himself the opportunity to feel the energetic vibrations and emotions that an extremely fit individual would be feeling. And then when he connects with him, he's going to connect with him outside of the gym, and then his habits are going to transfer into him. We all know this. You are the sum of the five people that you hang out with. So, number one, if you want a life which does not align with the top five people that you hung out most with, then you need to switch up on these people. When I say switch up on these people, I don't mean betray them and completely stop talking. I'm saying be extremely cautious about who you are giving your attention to. Because whether you like it or not, your brain waves are syncing with people when you are having conversations with them. When you're not speaking to them, also, your brain waves are syncing, which is why you and your best friend sometimes say the exact same thing at the exact same time. It's because your brain waves are syncing when you are in conversation with them, quite literally. Okay. So, if you're somebody who wants to manifest a happy marriage in your life right now, but you're hanging out with people or girls who say, men are horrible, or if you're a guy and you're hanging out with boys who say, let's hook up, or, let's go to the club and let's do this, then the kind of reality that you're going to be attracting, even though you might be doing things outside of this friend circle in a different way, but when you come back to this friend circle, you start to feel extremely comfortable in all the ideologies that they have been practicing. And because of that, on a subconscious level and a conscious level, this is happening, but you're just okay with it because it's so familiar, right? So at a subconscious level, you're programming yourself to believe, once again, that I'm doubtful whether I'm capable of this marriage. So I'm not going to take any names, of course, but there's somebody who I know. Okay, it's one of my sister's friends. She wanted to manifest a relationship, and while she wanted to manifest a relationship, she was also added to this group where the group said, "We hate men" or "I hate men club," and she was a part of that group, even though she was not active. I said, "Why are you a part of this group? There's absolutely no reason for you to be active on this group, because if you're active on this group, you are a part of the energetic bubble that these guys have created, and every time you even see that group, you're going to remind yourself that you are the kind of girl to be a part of that group, which is why it's going to be very difficult for you to manifest." Now, don't settle just for the people who are not negative. Find the people who are actually driven and ambitious as you. Now, keep in mind, reaching to this level is going to require you to isolate yourself quite often. I'm not saying completely isolate, but there's going to be a time where you cannot relate to anybody other than yourself and maybe a few other people, because nobody else understands the universe and understands the world that the way you are viewing it. So if somebody comes and tells me that, hey, do you want to watch this new murder mystery? For them, it's like, it's entertaining, it's nice. But I am aware to the fact that I don't want to watch a murder mystery in the middle of the night. Number one, because I don't want to mess up my sleep schedule. And number two, if I watch a murder mystery right now, I'm going to feel anxious, I'm going to feel fearful, I'm going to be scared, and I'm going to have all of these random emotions in my body for reasons that I don't want to. So I'm not saying you have to completely cut off all of the entertaining things in life. What I'm trying to say is that you have to cut off every single thing in your life which does not align with your new identity, especially in your transition period. So let's say I am an expert at manifestation. So for me, if even invoke in watching a movie like that, I am consciously aware that this is just a movie, it's a film, it is there to entertain me, and I won't dissolve much with it. Now, if I go back to my earlier days, 8 years ago, when I just started manifestation, I would not watch that movie because I don't know how much of an emotional control do I really have upon myself. And especially if I'm transitioning my life at that point, I don't want to take any kind of chance to even let that opportunity come into me. For example, I have my new Lamborghini parked outside my house again. And I see a bunch of people trying to take pictures with my car. Now, I know they don't have the keys and they cannot get in, but I would much rather prefer if they didn't have the option to even try and break into my car, which means I don't want them anywhere near my car because it's my car and I value that. And when you start valuing your own emotions throughout the day, your own mood throughout the day, that is precisely when you will not want any external factor to come into your life, whether it's a person, whether it's a movie, whether it's anything, you don't want it to interrupt with your emotional baseline because you have to sustain that emotional baseline, keeping in mind the identity that you are projecting at all times, which of course aligns with your dream reality in the present moment. And the better you can do this, the faster your dream reality is going to get manifested into your life. Now, let's go back to the content, the short form content that I was talking about. Now, why is it so horrible to watch that? Because we only watch content that goes viral. And because we only watch content that goes viral, and emotions is pretty much the entire reason why any content piece ever goes viral, that's when we realize that our emotions dictate our attention. And because our emotions dictate our attention, we are addicted to giving our attention to anything which is going to make us feel anything at any level. Because people have not understood the true importance of staying completely rooted in the present moment and channeling emotions by themselves in this modern century, especially because today it is so easy to access any emotion with just the click of a finger. And that's why we find it difficult to find peace in the fact that we're sitting with our mother and having a conversation with her. We find it difficult to appreciate the fact that there's an entire meal cooked in front of us and it's actually very delicious, but we want to watch something while we're eating. And I'm not going to say I'm perfect, right? I also do watch very often things when I'm eating, but what I'm watching is high value content from my mentors. And because I'm doing that, I feel like it's okay. Of course, there are days where I prefer that, I wish I didn't like put so much effort into work and just spend time with my family because that's also, if not as, then more important than work. So you will have these kind of thoughts, but because I am aware that I am investing my energies into my mentors who are teaching me something, I am good with that. But you have to keep in mind as to what you're, oh my god, family group chat is, anyways, so you have to keep in mind as to what you're investing your energies in. And you have to keep in mind that this is the number one reason why people have stopped having the luxury of enjoying in the present moment, even when they're doing mundane things. And that is the main goal that you have to go for. How, let's say you have a dream identity of somebody who wants to become a supermodel. How is a supermodel going to be when she's having dinner? A supermodel, right? She really cares about her body, about her health, about all of these factors. And when she's having dinner, she's not going to have her attention on anything other than the fact that she has to have healthy, nutritious food. She has to be in a high vibrational frequency because how you feel is how you look, and she needs that glow. And that's the kind of person that anybody would want to be. Why just a supermodel? So when you can start to take all of these important areas of your life into accountability, even though they don't may not seem as important on a macro level, on a micro level, this compounds to such a high level that it's going to benefit your life in every possible way, which is why I created the video Magic in the Mundane in the first place. But this is exactly what I'm trying to convey to you. Now, because emotions is where our attention is going, when we are watching short form content, number one, you have to keep in mind that invoking multiple emotions within our body is like, and let me give you an example. You'll be watching a video, and the first video will talk about, what will it talk about? It'll talk about a dog looking extremely cute. The second video after that, it will convey a dog looking really cute. Sorry. After that, we will see a baby acting really stupid. After that, we will see something political, which we probably oppose or are for. After that, we will see children in a different country struggling, which is something which we cannot do anything about at this moment. After that, we will see something motivational. Then we'll see something more motivation. Then we'll see something more motivation. Then you'll see a clip from an old movie which you really love and you really miss the main characters of that. And then after that, you will see something else. So, what I'm trying to say is that what's happening when you're scrolling through all of these videos so often, you are training your brain to believe that you are the kind of person who can't control your emotional reactions. And when you cannot control your emotional reactions, that is precisely what your subconscious mind is going to take into notice. Because when you're doom scrolling for at least 5 minutes plus. And in those 5 minutes, believe it or not, you are watching at least 50, if not 100 videos. And because you're watching of, let's say, 50 videos in those 5 minutes, what's happening is that you have felt 50 different emotions in just 5 minutes. In what other age, by age I mean in the history, in the past, has this ever happened before? Never. Today, we have the most number of people who have depression, who have anxiety, who have all these kind of mental conditions because we as humans, we are not born with it. The society today is propagated in such a way so that we can fall for these traps. And of course, that's a whole other conversation, which I don't want to get into. But when you can realize that your body does not provoke emotions for no reason. It provokes emotion because something has happened. And for the same reason why when there is a road fight, everybody will stop and watch what the road fight is about, is because they are not taking bliss in the fact that they're sitting at home comfortably, have their family, have their friends, have everybody in their life in the present moment. Because watching that is going to invoke more of an emotion. But if you can be the kind of person, whether you're in a car, whether you're at home, and there's a road fight happening, And I'm guilty of this too. Of course, I've done it. Like, we'd rather watch that. But why do we do that? We do that because social media has fucked our brain to the point where we always want to feel emotions without doing anything to actually achieve that emotion. Now, whether that emotion is negative, positive, happy, motivation, sadness, whatever it is, we want to feel something because we are so used to being stimulated at all times. So, currently in your manifestation journey, let's say you're currently feeling negative, right? You just started off and you're feeling negative. So your brain would much rather, for the same reason as you want to watch a road fight, your brain would much rather feel negative right now for no reason, just because it would much rather feel something in the first place. And when I tell you to do all of the energetic work and channel your energy to your dream identity, which is of course positivity, it's going to be there's going to be a lot of resistance. And because there's a lot of resistance, you don't want to commit to that. And because you don't want to commit to that, this is always easier to fall back to. For the same reason, if I say that, hey, watch this movie, you might not have heard of it, but you will learn a lot from that. It's a 3 hour movie. You might watch it, but for how long are you actually going to put your attention on that until you pick up your phone? Why do we want to pick up our phones when we're watching even long form movies? We want to pick up our phone because we want to feel an instant drive of an emotion even through that one text message because it conveys something to us. We want to watch the reels because it emotes something within us. But when we're watching a movie and the main character is in the washroom and we don't feel anything, that's the same reason why we would much rather feel something and go back to scrolling. Haven't you seen those memes that I watch my Netflix and have a small screen and a big screen in front of me and I'm doing this in Netflix's background noise? That is what I'm talking about. When you are conditioning your body to feel and have such strong emotional reactions to such new information, you are going to be the kind of person who cannot sustain any emotion for a long period of time in your life. And because you cannot sustain any emotions for a long period of time in your life, what's going to be happening is that you are not going to be able to channel the emotions that you feel in your morning quantum meditation through your mind movies, through your self talk, towards the last pump of energy when you do a nice workout. You will not be able to sustain that because your mind, your attention, which is your energy, will go on to something else, which will then consume you. And because it consumes you, you feel depleted after doom scrolling. So let me tell you why you actually feel depleted after doom scrolling. You feel depleted after doom scrolling because when you are watching, as I said, it provokes several emotions. And when you break down the word emotions, the word motion is basically Latin, which invokes us to take action. So Latin is emotion is Latin for action. And when we feel a certain emotion, we feel like taking a certain action. For example, if we are watching a movie and the main character is dying, we feel like oh, I wish I could do this. Or you feel like doing something about that. Or when you feel angry, right, you feel like taking the action which justifies the anger that you're feeling. Or when you're feeling sad, you feel like doing something to corner yourself, to even delve more into that emotion. And because you're becoming that kind of a person, why, sorry. And because you do that, remember that it's completely normal to feel angry and then do something about that. Of course, you should get that in control. It's completely normal that when somebody dies and you feel sad, it's okay, that's normal. But what is not normal is that when you're watching these reels and when you're watching the short form content, the emotions which you are feeling, it is, of course, like every other emotion, instilling and invoking you to take an action which you physically cannot take. And because you cannot physically take that action, and by the end of your doom scrolling time, whether it's 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, we do not even notice because we are so stimulated at all times. Why do we see babies today who will not eat food without watching the screen? Of course, they're not scrolling, but they're watching something, right? Because they also are being conditioned to invoke emotions at all times just so that the mother can make the kid eat food. That is the last thing that you will watch my son or daughter ever do. Which is why, when you can realize that the entire generation is getting messed up in this time, you have to realize that when you are watching this content and you cannot take the action you actually do want to take, the next time you feel any emotion, especially a positive emotion, you will not want to take that action because you've conditioned your brain to believe that I am somebody who feels something and does not do anything about that. And the more deeper you fall into that rut, the more difficult it is for you to even get up and go to the gym. The more difficult it is for you to channel your higher identity, your dream reality identity in the present moment because you want that instant gratification. And because you've literally consumed your mind attention with so much instant gratification that doing the long term things, they don't excite you anymore. And because they don't excite you, you will never indulge in anything. But if you want to achieve any long term goal, whether it's a long term relationship, prior to that relationship, for a sustained period of time, you have to be somebody who's mentally stable. You have to be somebody who can respect people. You have to be a loving person. But if you are living in this time where you are just scrolling through so many long short form videos so often, you are conditioning your brain to believe that even if I'm loved, then I'm watching sad videos of people dying in other countries, then I'm feeling sadness. And that's not your fault. It's not even their fault. The fault is for the person who consumes this information and depletes their energy to this, because they cannot even do anything about that. And because you cannot do anything about that, you have what we call an emotional hangover. So, when you drink a lot of alcohol and then you get a hangover, so what's actually happening is that the ethanol is being broken down by your body, and then you does not feel nice. We all know that. But when you're watching or doom scrolling, don't you get done with it and you're like, oh, what have I done with my day? Or I do I feel so lethargic? Or why do I feel so tired, right? The reason why you are feeling so lethargic is for the same reason. The emotions that you are feeling, they are all transmuted through, chemical firing and wiring of neural networks happening within our body. So, for example, if you see a video of somebody almost getting mugged and then you start to feel stressed out, the stress is not stress coming out of thin air. It's adrenaline being produced in your body. It's cortisol being produced in your body. And that is signaling different set of neural networks, which is then signaling different set of neural networks, which is then signaling different set of neural networks. And then the next time you are ever in a stressful situation, physically or while scrolling, because this pattern has been recognized by your neural networks that when we get stressed, we feel like this. It gets memorized so easily. So the next time when you're in your actual day to day life, impersonating and being the highest version of yourself, keeping all of the energetic work in mind, and then something happens which does not go in accordance with your three-dimensional reality, because you're so used to immediately responding to a situation which does not go completely in accordance with you with an attitude of stress, you're not going to be able to control yourself, because once you were doom scrolling, and when you were doom scrolling, you condition yourself to have those emotional reactions even when it's just a video, right? For the same reason, if you want to sustain something in your reality, what you do behind the scenes is going to affect what you do in the real playground, which is what we call life. So only if you can have that mental level of awareness in the present moment, which what you will gain when you stop doom scrolling, can you then handle situations in the present moment. Let's say when something negative goes in your three-dimensional reality, we know that we don't want to give even an ounce of attention to that. And when we don't give our ounce of attention to that, that is precisely when that problem no longer is a problem, because we have not fed that problem with any attention, which is energy, which is emotion. And because we have not given that any emotion, it cannot invoke or affect us in any way. And we can continue to walk our path being in a high vibrational state. So, the reason why you feel lethargic after doing all of these things, it's pretty much because your brain has gotten so extremely good at being sensitive to information that now you don't know what to do with yourself in the real world, because you want to feel something. And the last thing that you want to be doing is doing something which is going to make you feel good in the long run, which is, of course, delving into your desired identity, which is what manifestation is all about. So you don't want to do that, which is why after doom scrolling, you're going to do something which is most easy to invoke an emotion within you, right? And when you do what's most easy to invoke an emotion, 99.999% of the times, it's going to be a source of instant gratification. Whether it's smoking, whether it's masturbating, whether it's judging, whether it's bullying someone, whatever it is, you're going to want to do that because that is something that you can feel instantly. But none of these things are ever going to help you delve into the identity. So if you want this, you cannot do this while this is a part of your life. You have to completely first cut off this, which starts with stopping doom scrolling. Then this automatically happens. Good habits attract good habits. So tonight, if instead of doom scrolling, you decide to sleep on time, it's okay if you don't want to sleep. It's okay if you don't get sleep. That stupid excuse. And sometimes it might be real. I've been there. But what I'm going to say is that if you get sleep at 1 a.m., come what may. So you sleep at 1 a.m. I'm telling you, sleep at 10:30. Stay awake till 1 on bed. Close your eyes. But just close your eyes. Because tomorrow that 1 a.m. will become 12:30. And day after tomorrow, that will become 12. and day after tomorrow, and the day after that, it's going to become 11, and then eventually it's going to catch up simply because you've done the act of what you want to commit to, come what may. Your emotions were telling you. Emotions will say that, hey, anyways, don't get sleep. What's the point? It's going to lure you into taking that action, which is going to bring you instant gratification. But I'm saying control that, because when you control that for even 2 days or even one day sometimes, or even 5 days, I don't care how long it takes, but you do that, and then the next morning when you wake up early at 6 a.m., you're not going to want to say, oh, let me scroll some reels. I've woken up at 6 a.m. No, that's the last thing. Think logically. You will never want to do that. Even if you're a reels addict. When you wake up at 6 a.m., you want to meditate. You want to journal if you like journaling. You want to go for a walk. You want to start swimming. You want to develop a new hobby. You want to read a new book. You want to learn a new language. You want to do all of these productive things. You want to start having hot water. You want to start putting lemon in your water. You want to start taking care of your skin. You realize you want to start going to the temple. You want to start going to the mosque, wherever, whatever you worship. Good habits are going to attract good habits. And after you come back from the temple, for example, you're not going to want to come back home and reply in the group chat where you're bitching about people. You're going to want to do something else. You're going to want to read a book. You're going to want to do something productive. You're not going to want to go to your workspace and talk bad about a colleague because you've done your morning in such an amazing way. You're not going to want to break that. And that's simply how apps like Snapchat have affected you, right? So Snapchat gives you the illusion of a streak. I don't know. I used to take it so seriously. It's crazy. When I was in the ninth grade, of course, but I've not used that app in I think 3, 4 years, and I stopped using that, and I was like, wow, like wow, I have so much more brain capacity to put my attention to other areas of my life because that energy which we're not utilizing to put into social media, can you imagine the amount of emotional energy that you will have within yourself when you stop giving it to factors in your life which don't even matter? You will have a bundle of emotions. And when you have a bundle of emotions, I'm not talking about sadness, happiness. The reason why you have sadness, happiness, anger, bitterness, truth, whatever it is because you're watching all these different kind of videos which have gone viral. But what I'm saying is that what you will have is a high bucket of energy, and you'll not be wasting it on different emotions. You can use this entire bundle of energy in any area of your life as a big ball. And when you use it like that and you sustain this, because you're taking these kind of actions in the present moment, sustaining the emotions of your choice, come what may, going for the long term goals, that is precisely when you start to see more proof in your reality. And that proof does nothing but expand your energy. Then you move like this, and that expands, and then move like that, and then it expands. And that is precisely all it takes for you to completely manifest the life of your dreams, because you've sustained it now. You've understood how to do it now. You've cut off all the wrong things, which is why the next time you have something which is negative, you will not emotionally react to that, because you're not the kind of person who's emotionally reactive. You know, watching doom scrolling is almost like trying to drive a manual car on a empty highway, let's say, if you're lucky, and you're constantly trying to change the gear. How is that car going to jerk? It's going to be like this, and after a certain period of time, it's going to fall off the cliff. But we don't want you to fall off the cliff. We want you to drive that goddamn electric car who has a complete smooth transition. We want you to drive the manual car, which is on gear number 5 on an empty highway, and you're just cruising. And when you become this kind of person, you will never want to become the other kind of person that you were, because you will realize the amount of emotional energy that you have within you, which you can now utilize to the best of your abilities in any and every possible way. Now, I want to be talking about the kind of people who watch reels for motivation. When you watch videos for motivation, right? So don't get me wrong, you can watch, motivational videos here and there. It's completely okay. But when you get into the habit of doom scrolling more than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos, right? The dopamine that okay, why do we like movies? Why do we like main characters in movies so much? We like main characters in movies so much because we like to think that their best traits are certain traits which even we have within ourselves, which we can start to embody, right? Which is why we feel so emotionally connected to the main character from the start of the film. Which is why when he's in trouble, we're like, when he's not in trouble, we're like, okay, we can watch that. So what I'm trying to say is that we have such a strong connection with that main character. So when the main character, let's say, beating up the bad people, whatever it is, we feel good. Why do we feel good? Because we personally feel like we are doing that, that we can do that someday, or that is so us, or we start to relate to that. And because we start to relate to that, what actually happens after you're done watching the movie, you go back home and you feel that small sense of satisfaction that I watched a good movie, and the next day you don't even do one thing in relation to that main character. Why? Because the dopamine that you felt when you were consuming the content is the dopamine that you actually need to take the action. And the only way you can generate that dopamine is by taking the action on day one when you don't have any dopamine. You can only know how amazing it feels after a long morning workout when you've done it for the first time consistently. Then the second time, you can use the excitement of your first experience and create that dopamine. And now, because you are the conscious creator of the emotion of your choice, you can now choose to consciously create any emotion in your life. If you want to manifest a relationship, how can you have love, right? People will say, I listen to love songs. But when you're listening to songs, you're doing the very same thing. You're feeling it's almost as good as content, right? You're gonna feel this emotion when you listen to this song, this emotion when you listen to this song, this emotion when you listen to this song, and you're not the creator of your emotions. So you will not be able to generate love in your reality. Even when you're on a first date, you will not be able to generate love because you're so used to for love being generated for you. You're going to be completely blank, and you're going to be a boring personality because you choose to be entertained than to entertain. You choose to be the victim of your reality rather than the creator. And the entire reason I'm creating this video is so that you can start to feel like the creator of your reality, because that's what God has intended. That's the only thing God has intended for you. He does not want you to do anything else. So when you're doing all of these factors in your life and you're not realizing what's actually happening is that the dopamine that you feel when you see somebody living that amazing life in Milan or that amazing life in Monaco, you feel a level of excitement. Or when you watch one of anything, yeah, you watch anything that excites you, you already get the dopamine before taking the action. Why are you ever going to take an action? You'll never take it because you've gotten the dopamine. You get what I mean? But you have to first take the action to generate the dopamine, then take it again if it's not enough to generate dopamine on your own. Then take it again, and then you'll see, okay, damn, this actually feels good. Like waking up early is nice. And now automatically the next day you want to sleep at 10 p.m. because you want that dopamine again tomorrow morning, and you can create it for yourself now. And then from there onwards, you go into your workplace, and let's say you want to manifest a promotion. For promotion, what does one need? What emotion does one want to practice? Well, responsibility, if that's an emotion. They want to manifest respect. How can I gain respect? I can do something for someone. I can share a nice story to somebody having a difficult time, and I can be the creator of these emotions in different areas. But if you're so used to at your workplace also, you're going to be of no use. You don't want to be around that kind of a person who can never add any kind of value to a conversation. Forget a relationship. You don't like having conversations with people who cannot add valuable information. Why would you ever want to talk to somebody who is a doom scroller? And because you would not want to talk to a doom scroller, why would you ever even consciously want to be a doom scroller, right? So when you keep that in mind, that brings me to my last point. And that is, what is the best way to beat the algorithm? So for everybody, let's say you cut off the doom scrolling and you've been practicing a new identity or new emotions. You're in the brink of manifestation when you completely stop caring about the fact whether it's going to manifest or not. You know why? Because the only reason we want to manifest things, we think it's because of the material goal. But in reality, we want to manifest that thing because of how we are going to feel after it, right? So I've said this so many times, you want that money, and the moment you get that money, you want a larger sum, and then the larger sum, and then a larger sum, right? It's human nature. So what we really want is an emotion. And because all you really want is an emotion, and in your day-to-day life, you're creating that emotion in every conversation that you have, number one, you'll start to see proof. Number one. Number two, your manifestation will come true inevitably. But if you start to feel like, why hasn't it come? Then you're doing something wrong when it comes to the emotion. Because what you're actually looking for is the emotion. You don't want the material thing. So detachment is as good as being the kind of person who is creating that emotion in every conversation that you're having. So if it's love, you can create love by saying some nice things, by bringing someone something, by loving yourself, by sleeping on time, by taking care of your body. I love myself more than ever because I've never been fitter than before. So things like that. So when you can do all of these things, create these emotions by your own self, that's how you can beat the algorithm by stopping to worry about when the results are going to come, because the result is the emotional state that you've anyways been looking for. So if you've not gotten the results yet, it's simply because you're doing it for the sake of getting results, but for the sake of getting the material result. But you have to do it because you love how it feels. You love how the emotion of having financial freedom feel. Now you'll say, how can I feel financial freedom if I don't have finances right now? I'll say, take out a 500 rupee note if you're Indian and split that into 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 50 people. Go out on the streets and you will see as to how many people there actually are who need that money. But this is not an evil way of you to feel financially rich. But what I'm trying to say is that this will help make you feel as to how grateful you can really be for the things that you have. And gratitude is the energy of receiving, anyways. And that's a very simple example of how you can manifest money, even when you don't feel like you're financially abundant, right? And you keep this aspect in mind, then you realize that the best way to beat an algorithm is to be consistent. Think for any short form creator or any long form, any kind of creator on social media, you cannot post your first video and go viral. I mean, you can, but that rarely happens. You have to do it for a consistent period of time until the algorithm, which is your subconscious mind in this case, sees you as the kind of person who's going to be consistent, who can sustain whatever they are promising. And you do that for a longer period of time, and there is nothing that can stop you from achieving your manifestation goals. That's it for this video. Best of luck and keep shining, guys.